So you guys close this gap. You're down by what is it, 24? You fight back, clawing your way all the way back into the game. You put on a great performance down the stretch, and you do it all without Steven Adams, right? So a lot of this has to go on the Celtics for their ineptitude to close the game out, and they basically went cold on offense, but it also seeped into their defense. They were really poor, especially off ball defensively for that stretch. Would you have ever been in that position where you were down that many with Steven Adams on the floor? How's he done for you? How much was he factoring the slow start that you guys had?
Well, I think the offensive rebounding would have been vastly improved had Adams been in the game. I believe he averages 4 offensive boards a game. Not to mention he absorbs a big body on the other side, freeing up Zion to do his thing. And I think Steven Adams not being in this game was a big reason why plus Brad Stevens, not taking anything away from the Celtics, was a big reason why Zion was like level 1 Zion for the first half of this game before becoming, level 8 or 9 Zion in the second half.
Should start calling him Super Zion.
Yeah.
I tried to make a Dragon Ball Z reference, but I didn't enunciate correctly.
Well, unfortunately, I wouldn't have grabbed it. I'm not a Dragon Ball Z guy, so I do apologize. But if you want to make an old New Orleans sports reference, I can help you out there. I'm wearing my New Orleans Pelicans baseball hat from way back in the day, because if you notice, the ABC broadcast was giving a shout out to the old New Orleans Pelicans minor league baseball team, which I've never seen a national NBA broadcast do that. They were given I'm not sure if he's caught that, but they were talking about the New Orleans Pelicans minor league baseball team from like the 1900s. So I'm wearing that hat to represent on your show tonight.
That's awesome. No, I didn't catch that. It might have been at a time where I was shouting furiously at the TV or tweeting furiously, depending on what point it was, either very happily or very furiously. What's got me mostly is, and I just can't get over the abject failure of the Celtics to close this game out. When was it that you pinpointed the shift in momentum? At what point was you like, we're making this run and we're going to be back in this by the beginning of the fourth?
I don't remember the exact moment, but I think it was when Zion started getting some calls, and I'm trying to remove my deep lifelong love of New Orleans basketball for the parts of my life where it existed, and taking my own fandom out of it. But I do think that this game felt different from all of recent games. Zion was not getting very many calls. I know there was good defense played against them, but dude was not getting any superstar calls, which he typically gets. And he started getting a couple of them in the third quarter there. And I think that lifted the whole team up. And then, that happens. And then Josh Hart hits a 3. And then there's a big defensive stop, which we haven't seen a defensive presence like that from the Pelicans all season. So I think, it trickles down. You get 2 or 3 stops in a row, which is very uncommon for New Orleans. And then suddenly, they have these great fast break plays, and there's all this energy, and you look over at your bench and Stan's happy, and it's like, oh my God. And there's more fans than ever because New Orleans just increased the capacity by a little bit. So I think officially today, I don't have this on record, but I think today was the most fans that have been in attendance at a COVID New Orleans game. So I think that with the strange foul calls and with JJ getting tossed, there was a lot of energy in the building. So I think all those things together, when it started to shift, it shifted in a really big way, and the Pels just rode that wave.
As an outsider, as a guy that doesn't watch too much Celtics, because this wave kind of coincides with this performance as well, in my opinion. Kemba Walker went 5 for 21 from the field. He was really bad. He's been getting better since he came back from his knee injury, but this was one of the worst performances. And the thing with Kemba is he's got a mantra of, if it's not falling, just keep shooting. And sometimes you want him to just stop shooting. What was your take on Kemba's performance? Was it what you was expecting, or was you shocked to see that low level of play from him?
Yeah, so admittedly, have not watched a lot of Kemba Walker play basketball and had not watched a lot of Celtics this year, but I know what he's about. I understand the kind of player he is, and I was not expecting this poor of a shooting performance and to have such a short-term memory especially when you have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on your team. That seems like it's a bad idea. Also, I have a question for you about Kemba Walker. I know the dude is a chill, sweet, like kind, fun man. Like he always got a big smile on his face. But it would drive me absolutely crazy to see a player shoot that terribly and be smiling and laughing so much during dead balls. Like, how many times did he turn the ball over and then walking back on defense was like had a big grin on his face? Just like not just like a smiling like, oh man, I know I messed up. Smiling like I'm about to ride a Ferris wheel. Smiling like someone just like gave him a free dessert. Dude was like, I'm having a great time, which I'm sure they are. It's a fun job and they love what they do and they're all very talented. But dude just seemed to be not only okay with having a bad night, downright pleased to be shooting so terribly. How does that feel to watch that? That would drive me crazy, Adam.
To be honest with you, last season when it was kind of the Kyrie recovery year, when we were all in rehab from the bad taste that Kyrie left, it was a breath of fresh air, right? This year, Kemba's been poor, and that smile is kind of okay with me personally because I'm like, this is a locker room guy. He's a glue guy in terms of he brings good vibes, he's encouraging everybody else, but at the same time, like there does seem when you're smiling and you, as you put, you're in carnival mode and there's just such a lackadaisical effort across the board. I'd like to see a little bit more fire, right? I want to see someone chew him out and I want to see him chew someone else out when there's bad possessions, because at the moment everybody looks like it's like when children play a sport and say it's soccer and they get the participation medals, right? Everybody's getting that pat on the back, no matter whether you play well, whether you play bad. That seems like that's what's happening in the Celtics locker room. Everyone's like, well, you didn't play well, but it's okay. We'll get them next time. And Kemba kind of embodies that for me a little bit. So it does grate on me a little bit, but not enough to really drive me nuts.
Yeah, and I see the value in people like that. I'm not over here thinking everyone has to be all business and smiles are bad. Like that's not my thing. I'm a fun guy. I like have, I get it. I'm down. But there was just something about it tonight. Something about how often he was just grinning so hard. It was like he was still playing for the Hornets, and it was the All-Star game when it was in Charlotte, and he was like, I'm the ambassador for my city. I'm having a great time. And everyone's just like, look at Kemba being a great community leader. It was as if he was doing an exhibition game where there was like celebrities at courtside and he was just like having a time of his life. But in reality, the Celtics were giving up a massive lead. I'm not sure if you caught this, but it was the biggest comeback in the history of Pelicans basketball. It's a short history, I know, but it's still the greatest comeback we've ever had. Never came back from 24 down halfway through the third. So kudos to the Pels for the hustle and to the coaching for sure.
Yeah, kudos. I mean, it's a big feat, whether or not it's the first time, the second or the third, coming back from 24 down to winning overtime. That shows some grit and some toughness and some development from what is a young roster with you guys. Another guy that didn't perform. I mean, he got the assist. He was spraying it around, got 9 assists, but his shooting totals weren't where they should be, especially not for a guy that's expecting to be named as an all-star next week, which is Jaylen Brown. Went 7 for 23 from the field. He did get 9 assists, got 6 rebounds, but that was just another guy where things weren't falling for him and he continued to shoot. And this is what the Celtics issue is, right? As you probably noticed, they go isolation a lot when their backs are against the wall. Instead of sticking to the game plan that they come into the matchup with, they just revert back to a hero ball, my turn, your turn, high pick and roll offense that is very much predicated on either Tatum or Brown finding a jump shot wherever they please. You guys defended that really well, and you guys defended Tatum really well, and Josh Hart had a lot to do with that. His energy, his defensive intuition was fantastic, especially when he was put alongside Lonzo. Is that new? Is that something that you've had all year? Is that something you expected to have the level of impact as what it did?
Josh Hart is well on his way to becoming a New Orleans folk hero legend status. He's the kind of guy every team wants to have, should have a Josh Hart, like the kind of guy who's not going to command a ton of attention media wise, but he's going to do a lot of the dirty work, do some hustle plays. He'll hit open shots, and he has a personality, has fun with it. Not always smiling like Kemba, but is having fun on the court, and Josh Hart is I think for a lot of people, he's probably a lot of people's third favorite Pelican. And he might be some people's second favorites, only behind Zion. I think he's just getting into the skin, in the hearts, I should say, getting to the hearts of New Orleanians and Pelicans fans all over the world. He's a ton of fun, and it feels good as a fan of Josh Hart and a diehard fan of this team. It felt good that we can trace some of the success tonight to his defensive intensity. I bet the videos of him guarding Tatum are going to be shown when other teams are playing the Celtics. Like didn't stop him entirely. This is not like a clinic on how to stop Jason Tatum, but this is someone did a really good job on defending Tatum. They made life hard on him, and so yeah, shout out to Josh Hart for sure. I hope he plays in New Orleans for so long that I'm going to like whatever restaurant he opens in 10 years after he retires.